What's black and white and red all over? Why, novels written by VE Schwab, of course. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Olivia. Today I am actually going to be talking about an individual series, doing a full review on an individual series, not just saying, I read 15 books in 2 months. No, we're actually going to talk about something a bit in depth because I was completely taken by the Shades of Magic series and I feel the need to scream about it so everyone else can read it with me. So yes, the Shades of Magic series isn't a new series. It's actually very popular, written by VE Schwab, like I said. I wrote this all down. I can't memorize this. I'm going to read off my laptop because that's just the kind of person that I am. Now that I've got my notes, the story follows Kel, an Antari, aka one of the most powerful magicians, one that can travel across parallel Londons. Of those Londons, you have Red, a thriving city, Grey, which is our world, London in 1819, White, a city that is clinging to whatever magic it can scrounge up and keep, and Black, a place that no longer exists anymore because magic pretty much devoured everything in its path. Kel, our protagonist, is from Red London, where he serves as an ambassador for the crown, transferring messages from London to London. Unofficially, Kel is a smuggler. When a trade goes awry, he escapes to Grey London, where he runs into a thief named Delilah Bard. Delilah dreams of escaping the poverty she lives in, and together they go on quite the adventure. So that is the basis, these books. I'm sorry I only have the second and third. The first one is in a box on its way to California. So I've had these books sitting on my shelf for about a year. I bought the box set on a whim because the internet was like, VE Schwab, very popular author, and I read the description of this one and I was like, sick. Sounds like I'm gonna love it. I picked it up, got about 40 pages in and said, hi, where did you come from? I said, not right now. Fast forward 3 months, I download the audiobook because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll enjoy it more. Hated the audiobook, put it down. Then I think I tried to reread more like maybe a month later and I was like, there's nothing I dislike about this book series. It's just not its time. So fast forward to me moving and packing up my books and being like, okay, I'm gonna grab 5 books that I want to read, and this is all I have to read. So I finally get through the first book in the Shades of Magic trilogy and I was hooked. I love the characters. I also like the magic system. It's very simplistic in the sense that it's a lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's elemental, it's air, water, fire, earth. And then on top of that, the Antari, which Kel is, and you can tell because he's got one black eye, they can also control, they work with blood magic as well, and it's a very simple thing. There are very simple commands that they use to control the blood magic that can only be like a vocal spell. And I liked that because I didn't want to do like a huge like world building epic fantasy, right? This is a very nice midpoint for magic systems, world building, easy to follow. It's you won't get confused by it. And I also really like that VE Schwab wrote each London sort of like character, like they're very distinct. Grey London is our world. Red, I watched an interview with her and she said that Red London the style is supposed to be very warm and similar to say like a Persian influence, Eastern Europe. White London is similar to Scandinavia, and then Black is non-existent. Hi, what's going on? Hi, do you want to come sit and do a review? You should lay down. Like I said, the characters have my heart. She's licking my hand. Molly, this feels inappropriate. As I mentioned, I really fell in love with the characters in this book series, and I have notes on each one, so bear with me. Let's start with Kel, the main character. On TikTok, I made a joke. I was like, why don't we talk about Kel? He's my new book boyfriend. There's some romance in this book, but it's really not the main point of the plot at all, and I'll talk more to that in a couple of seconds. But yeah, I just love him. I thought that he was incredibly sweet and caring, and he just loves his brother, who I'll talk about in a little bit as well. But there's also like this level of mischief to him because he's an unofficial smuggler, and he has this curiosity, and I identify with anyone who feels like an outsider and feels trapped. As an outsider myself for the majority of my life, but because he is sweet and he's like the soft, lovable, described by the author VE Schwab as a Hufflepuff, that he plays so well off of the other main character, Lila, who is Delilah. I don't know what it is, but across all of the fantasy books I read, there's always the female main character, has a thing for knives, which tells me that I need to go and learn how to wield daggers and knives. I'll take that upon myself eventually. If Kel's a Hufflepuff, Lila's a Slytherin, and she's gonna always just do the most mischievous, like, no, Lila, that's the opposite of tactful and good in this situation. But she's also extremely observant, which allows her to do the crazy Jack Sparrow-esque action that she's going to do. And I love that about her. She also feels very trapped by, she's from Grey London, so she also feels very trapped by her bland world. She's also, because she's a thief for a reason. She steals because she lives in poverty. Her parents died. She's left on the streets of London to fend for herself. So yeah, I really appreciate that about her. Also, the other thing, the line that gets thrown around for the series is, I don't want to die until I've seen it. Seen what? Everything. It's an adventure book, which is why I like it so much, because I love an adventure book. I think it's so fun. Next, we have Rye, Kel's younger brother. Kel is actually adopted, so he's not officially a prince, but Rye is the Prince of Arnez, which is the capital, the country that Red London is in. So at first, Rye comes off as a kind of spoiled, whiny prince. Like, within the first chapter that he shows up in, I was like, this kid, what are we doing? Like, he seems whiny, and I was like, I'm not gonna like him. And then as the story progresses, and when it's revealed why he does the things he wants to, he really is like a typical younger brother. He's like, I want to be like my older brother. I want to be the best that I can be. And since Rye is, even though Kel is older since he's adopted, he's not in line for the throne. Rye is. So Rye is set to be king, and he just wants to be the best king that he can be. And throughout the story, he often shows a lot of compassion for those who are suffering, because in his world, those without power are often bottom of the barrel, very marginalized, living in poverty. And he consistently shows throughout the story the compassion for them, and he truly just does what he can for his kingdom. So I ended up really liking him. Also, VE Schwab is incredible about representation. It's done so seamlessly for her, and yet other authors can't figure it out. Yeah, it's so seamless in this book, and yet I think about the fact that Sarah J. Maas is so wildly popular, and I talk about that author a lot, and I talk about how I enjoy their books, but they're super problematic. And then I can come into VE Schwab's writing, and I'm like, there's very little problematic about it, if anything, that I can identify. And it really is just like second nature in these books. Like, it's not that you don't notice it, it's that it really is just like, that's the character, and it's accepted in the world, and it's just nice. It's so nice to not see harmful stereotypes put into books, because it's so often there. Rye is bisexual, which is the point that I was trying to make about representation. Rye is also not white. I don't think that there's anything specific. I don't know if it's based on any specific race, nationality, what have you. It's just described that Rye has brown skin. And in fact, the entire Maresh family has brown skin. Kel's the only pasty ginger. And then you have Holland. Holland is another Antari, and he has a very good character arc, and it's a very nuanced character, similar to that of, I would say, like a Loki-esque character, where they're very sharp and calculating, and a bad guy. Yeah, he is a bad guy, but also like there's nuance to it. And I can't explain the character arc because that has spoilers in it, but just know that it's a good character, and it's like a fun character to love, to hate. Then we have Alucard Emery, who is Rye's love interest, we should say, but he's also friends with Delilah throughout the book, and he's just a smooth talking privateer, piratey guy, so of course I'm gonna like it. So yeah, I kind of made this point earlier, but I would like to expand more on it because I have a more eloquent note that I wrote down. All of her characters are diverse, and their struggles reflect the ones of marginalized people in our world. They all carry so much hope within them, and they're just brilliantly written. And yeah, good. Past Olivia was far more eloquent than speaking Olivia is. So that's how I feel about the characters. I'm a character-driven reader, so if I can't latch onto a character, I'm probably not gonna like your book. Plot for me always comes secondary, and it's not that I always want good guys. I actually love a bad guy. The Darkling is my favorite character in Shadow and Bone because it's a nuanced, well-written character. But like, yeah, the plot, this is a plot-driven book, like I said. Characters are great, and that's just a bonus. Here's my eloquent, pre-written thought. I'm far better on paper than I am in video. I'm I'm so sorry you have to deal with my ramblings. Here's what I said. Plot is great. I really enjoyed the world building and the way the story unfolded, and within the plot lies the ideology of balance. That is pretty much the key to life. Throughout the story, they talk about magic and man can't exist without balance. And that works in the way that Kel is a balance for Rye, and Lila is a balance for Kel. There's also the ideology of adventurers out there, because all of the main characters feel trapped in some way, shape, or form, and they just want to do the best. Kel and Lila specifically are like, I don't like my current situation. I'm gonna go and see what else is out there and experience life. There are two things about this book I didn't like. One is a very big plot point that takes up most of the second book, and it's a magic competition, and I just don't like magic competitions. I don't like the Triwizard Tournament in Goblet of Fire, and I don't like I forget what it's called because it's not in English, but it's just the magic competition just bores me just a little bit. I understand that they need it for like personal growth, and they use it to get their frustration out and all of that, and it's kind of like a way for the villain to infiltrate into the world, blah blah blah. It just bores me just a little bit. And it's funny because as much as I'm a character-driven reader, plot points with magic competitions, I don't know what it is. It just brings everything to a grinding halt. Like, we're so focused on like the action of whatever competition is happening, whatever battle is happening, that it just kind of, I'm like, there's no character development, it's just action, and it's not even plot driven action. It's just, we're gonna play a children's card game for 4 fucking episodes and nothing happens. And the second thing about this book series that I didn't like is, I know it's not romance, it's not a romance, but when you have two characters that have that much chemistry from the very start, literally since Delilah captures Cal and ties them to her bed, they're just immediate chemistry, and they do have a romance plot line. But I felt like every single time, so the two of them are separated a lot, which is again a shame because their on-page chemistry is incredible. And so I felt like every time one entered a scene, the other one immediately left to do something else, and they had like one interaction. I was left wanting more. And while yes, we got one spicy scene, I would call it like on the mild end of spicy, if that. It was just very vague, and even then, the interaction carried more emotional weight for one of the characters, which is fine. It's totally fine. It made sense within the story. It's not a mark against the writing of it. It truly is just preference, because I thought, like I said, I thought that the writing was incredible throughout the entire thing. But I just, as a romance reader, I'm just like, wait, no, come back. Why are you leaving the scene? There's so much flirting that could be happening right now, and it's not. That was my whole thing. But with that being said, the whole series really, it's almost perfect to me, except for those two major disappointments. So the whole series got a 4.5 star rating for me. What do you think? You say, yeah, we like Shades of Magic, huh? We like VE Schwab. And I do highly recommend this series. I think that there's a lot that people could get out of it. It really is fun. It's lighthearted. I don't think it's one that will be like your favorite series, but I don't think it's one that you will regret reading. And I think that if you want to start reading for entertainment, or even want to just start getting into fantasy, this is a really good one. So after finishing the Shades of Magic series, that means that I've now read 4 VE Schwab books this year. I mentioned in my last video, my like April and May reads, that I read Gallant by VE Schwab, and that's actually what made me excited to pick up Shades of Magic. I really do enjoy the way that they build their worlds, and the fact that their books truly have a vibe that is mischief, magic, darkness, hope, fun. That's all I really want out of a fantasy. My favorite book of all time is The Night Circus, which has a similar vibe, a little less action-packed, a bit more romance-heavy, but VE Schwab always does have romance in their books, with the exception of, I think, the Vicious series, haven't read yet. And then Gallant doesn't have any romance. It has a little bit, but I wouldn't say that that's like a major piece of it's not like a romance book. It's just like part of the puzzle. But with that being said, because I enjoy their writing so much, and because I can't stand to not have physical books with me ever, and since all of my books are, in boxes waiting to be in California, I went out and I bought another VE Schwab book, and this is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm 60 pages into it, and I have a very strong feeling that this book's gonna make me cry, and I'm gonna love it. So yeah, I think VE Schwab might be my favorite author. So with that, that's how I'm gonna leave you, saying go pick up a VE Schwab book. Tell me if you've read anything by VE Schwab, if you've read Shades of Magic specifically, if you liked Shades of Magic, what you didn't like about Shades of Magic. And yeah, that is it. I will see you guys next week. I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm kind of in a liminal space of limbo between moving and not moving for the next few weeks. I might just end up doing a makeup tutorial, who knows, but yeah, with that, the sun is shining, it's 96 degrees. I'm gonna go take all this makeup off. Actually, no, I've got a couple more videos to film. After I film more videos, I'm gonna take this makeup off and go get a tan and be in the sun. So yeah, have a nice day. Also, happy Pride Month, it is still June. So yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye.